I know some Grinches that are Grinches all year round, and it's a shame. Hey Cakenistas! Oh my gosh, it's tangled. Hey Cakenistas, it's Marisha, and I took a poll on my Instagram at Marishas_Couture asking you guys what other characters would you like to see caked. I put 3 of those ideas onto YouTube, made a YouTube poll, and when I say the decision was pretty unanimous, today I'm gonna make the Grinch. The Grinch from the new movie, The Grinch. I don't know the whole title, I hope it's The Grinch. Not the younger version, but it looks like, because no, I haven't seen it. You know I don't go to the movies too often. But it looks like there may be a time frame throughout the movie where he's like in his 20s, like a young adult. I wanted to try to look like the Who for you guys. And the closest that I got to it was just, I put dots over my freckles that I have already. I just made them, you can't even see them, I'm sure. So that's it. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to this channel. Let's get started. Okay, Cakenistas, now this is the Grinch that I printed out. I made sure that the size was perfect for my cake, and then I'm just gonna cut that out. So this is my cake. It's a delicious moist banana cake that I made. It is 8 inches. I'm putting my template on top of that, and I'm gonna use a sharp knife to cut it out. And I purposely slimmed down the face. I actually removed the fur from the template because I'm gonna add that on later, you'll see. So with my X-Acto knife, I'm cutting out the eyes. And I'm also going to make little slices over the parts of his face that are indented, such as the forehead area, around the cheekbone or the non-cheekbone area. He really doesn't have like any cheekbones at all. It's kind of crazy. And then I lifted it up and I'm like, okay, I can't see anything. So I put that back on top. And then I went over all of those indentations with my finger to kind of make impressions onto the cake so that I could see just enough to where I could start carving out his characteristics. Looking at this, you see just how tiny his eyes are. So I'm going to go with my knife and go around the cake and cut off that sharp edge to make it more of a curved edge. And then I'm going to cut out the area around his cheeks because his mouth nose area puckers out further. So instead of adding more cake to it to create that, I thought I would just take a little bit away. I'm going to add a little bit of buttercream just to make a thin crumb layer. Then I went back and I carved out his neck and took away the top layer. And with my mini spatula, I'm just going to go and kind of indent the eyes a little bit more and make that bridge of the nose more prominent. And then this is going to refrigerate. So I put some more frosting onto the cake and then with my fingers went in and sculpted it a little bit further. The same impressions that were already on the cake. I just shaped it more to his face. It looks super alienistic. It looks like E.T. My sister said it looks like one of the Planet of the Apes monkeys. It looks like a whole lot of things at this point. But then we're going to add our green fondant to it and use the heat from our hands to smooth it all out because my cake is pretty hard now since it's been in the refrigerator honestly for about 2 weeks. But I'm just going to say it's been in the refrigerator for about, you know, an hour. So it's pretty hard. I made a small indentation for his mouth, which you could see. It's just like the tip of a finger size. And I also made a small indentation for his nose. And I'm going to take some fondant and put that back onto his face. The part that I removed from the template, all of the fur area, I'm applying that back with fondant and you will see why later on. So smooth that on there as best as possible. It now looks like something that you would see on Star Trek, like some type of serious alien. Now I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to slash fur into that fondant. The extra fondant that we patted back on allows for us to go deeply into the fondant without touching any of the cake. So now I can actually make slashes into the fondant and then pull those little fur pieces up and outwards and kind of play with it until it looks like his fur. The Grinch is like ultimate petty. I watched the majority of it for the first time, the one with Jim Carrey that came out some years ago. I thought he just didn't want to be bothered, but that's not the case at all. He's like ultimate petty. He went to the community and wanted to start trouble. He's like super mischievous. So that was interesting. That's all I know about the Grinch thus far. I'm going to make the whites of his eyes. I went and just made sure that this was the proper size, and it was. So I made some indentations in the sockets so that I could really sit the whites in there and there would be somewhat flush up against the cake. I look like I'm poking his eye out, doesn't it? It looked really bothersome for a second. I'm going to use a darker green for the nose. It's just a small little oval and I'm poking in 2 nostrils. That's always a fun time. And then I used a small piping tip to cut out 2 rounds of green fondant, and I patted it down with my finger to make it a little bit bigger. This is going to go on his eyes. And then I took a drop of black gel dye, 2 drops of green gel dye, and some water to make a wash that I could paint over the pupils of his eyes. This adds shininess and it also makes it look pretty realistic. So now we're going to add 2 small white dots to the eyes. And now this is probably the most important part of the Grinch's eyebrows. This is going to give him his facial expression. So using the same dark green fondant, I'm adding his eyebrows right over top of his eye. We have to make it curved enough so that it looks angry, and then we're going to go in on top of the eyebrow and make little slashes to make individual eyebrow hairs that stick outward. And with that, I'm going in with this fondant tool to indent the upper eyebrow area and really make it look like he's frowning. It's all in the eyes. I can go back in and make the rest of the fur on his face and on his chin. As you can see, I did the nose area, the nose to the mouth. I also indented the mouth. And now I'm going to color his lips with a little bit of orange and red gel dye mixed with water. That is also more like a wash. We don't want to make him look too pretty. Not like we did Slappy. Now Slappy had the most gorgeous plump cherry red lips that you ever did see. So now I'm going in with some green petal dust, and this is a darker green petal dust. I'm going in on the sockets of the eyes, and then I'm going to also go in on the fur and around his cheeks. We're also going to use this to make the impressions on his forehead deeper, more shadowy. Now we're going to move on to the hair. We're starting off with a thick piece of green fondant, and then I went in with a couple strands of the darker green fondant, and then just finish off. He really doesn't have a lot of hair, guys, so this is like honestly like the easiest part of the cake. You just put in random little strands of fondant on there, and then you can push that and blend it into the forehead area or the top of the head area. And the older Grinch had on a red and white striped scarf. Paint some red stripes onto the scarf, and the Grinch has come to life. He's sporting the red and white scarf, a slight peachy lip, and a serious grumpy face. This is the Grinch, circa 2018. Couture and a Grinch cake. Bye, guys. Grinchy, I understand you, even though I didn't watch the movies to understand your story. You may be mean, you may be green, and you may be nasty, but you sure smell good. That's that banana cake, y'all. Something behind me fell. Oh, my pillow. I thought it was you, Grinchy, casting a spell on me. He makes you just want to like punch him in the face. That means that's a job well done, because you're making me angry. You're making me grumpy, Mr. Grinch. All that there is left for you guys to do is check out my Ohemgee Foodie channel. I'm gonna show you guys how to make my ultimate delicious, creamy, decadent mac and cheese soon. I'm gonna do that. See, I tried to do the green eyeshadow for the Grinch, and you can't even see it when my eyes are open. That's life. We both have reasons to be grumpy, don't we?